Artur Shilovs has a .917 save percentage in 10 games. That's outstanding. That's third best in the NHL. I still think they're missing the other guy, like a lot. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. The Penguins are back on home soil, home ice, actually. They were practicing up in Cranberry, some of them anyway. It was an optional. Today, they'll resume with a full practice. But a couple of things happened of note at the session yesterday. One is that Sam Poulin was called up. Nice story, leading scorer in Wilkes-Barre. Good to have him up. He might even get time on the first line. We'll see how that works itself out later this morning. Not so good. I feel like Koivunen, placed on IR and considered week to week with a lower body injury. There's not a whole lot that hasn't gone wrong for that young man at the quarter pole, but hey, maybe the adversity will sharpen him up. It certainly did for the other guy who made news. And that was Tristan Jarry being back at practice. He's supposed to miss about a month, the lower body injury of his own, and he seemed to be, once he got done with that session, in pretty good spirits, despite having a really, really encouraging start to his season rudely interrupted.
Yeah, it's tough when anyone gets injured. It doesn't matter from what standpoint. It's obviously tough, and there's some work to be done to come back. So I think it's just continuing with what I started and being able to keep that going.
Jarry's save percentage, by the way, through his own 7 games, is at .911. That's 10th best in the NHL. So not surprisingly, when you combine Shilovs, Jarry, and of course the couple of games that Sergei Murashov has now played, the Penguins rank really, really, really high in all goaltending categories. They're third in save percentage at .917. They're third in goals against average at 2.47. They're number one with shutouts because each of the Penguins' 3 goaltenders has one of those. And this is where it's got to happen. There's got to be almost an overcompensation toward the goaltending, an over-reliance on the goaltending. Because if we're being honest with each other here, this is not going to become some great defensive team. I underscore the word defensive because I'm referring to the Penguins' performance once they're already in their own zone. Once the other team has set up some kind of flow to the possession where it looks like they might be there for a little bit. Penguins aren't good at this. They don't have too many of those types who can aggressively attack that situation and win that puck back. So what they do instead is they kind of position themselves in a place where they think it's safe or smart and hope for some saves. From there, clear the rebounds. And if there's one specific area in which all 3 of the Penguins goaltenders have excelled, and I mean excelled, it's stopping the first shot. I've talked probably a little bit too much about Shilovs' rebound issues. Relative to the way he's performing overall, I probably shouldn't be talking that much about it. And Murashov, I'm still not ready. I'm not ready to take that super seriously. I have no doubt that he's up here because Jarry is hurt and for no other reason. If he acquits himself well, as he did obviously in the shutout in Stockholm over the weekend, awesome. But this team is going to make the playoffs on the shoulders of Jarry and Shilovs. And what I'm feeling is that it's going to be more Jarry than Shilovs. Look, we're 19 games in now. The next game, Friday night against the Wild, is going to represent the quarter pole. The team is 10-5-4. The team is 4th in the Eastern Conference. The team remains number 1 in the Eastern Conference in regulation wins. First tiebreaker, by the way. It's not being brought up here for nothing. The team is plus 12 in goal differential, behind only the Hurricanes in the conference. So the team is building up some legitimacy. And it's for a whole bunch of reasons. I don't mean to condense this down to the goaltending as if they're just being bailed out night after night after night after night. It's not the case. It's not the case at all. But this is going to be the underpinning. And the underpinning to the underpinning is going to be number 35. Come after me all you want on that subject. I don't care. Those of you who've been listening to this show for a long time will know this is a 180 on my part from what I used to see in Jarry, from what I used to say about Jarry. I'm seeing a different guy now, a different goaltender. Therefore, I'm saying it. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Kate, who says, I don't know how Sam Poulin going to fare, or if he's truly going to be an NHL player. But I don't quite get so many fans' belief in Rutger McGroarty. He didn't really stand out or impress in either of his short stays in Pittsburgh so far. Maybe he'll be outstanding. Maybe he'll develop into a solid player. I certainly hope so. But the enthusiasm for him far exceeds the reality of his limited playing time so far. Kate, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. And I think I know what you mean when you say it. And for the record, incidentally, McGroarty has begun playing in the AHL. He did score in his first game of the season. Not a bad goal either. Really churned up some ice getting to the net and finishing. But I'm not going to put any kind of words into your mouth here as to why you might not be excited about him. You just kind of say that you're not. My own thing, anytime I'm looking at a younger player, and I would imagine this is true of a lot of people, first thing that's ever going to jump out to you is skating. You can't go wrong with skating. A player is going to be skating all over the rink, whether they have the puck or not, so you can see it more easily, and it's going to not need to come with, highlighter pen for you. So when I saw Ben Kindle back in development camp, and he really didn't have the leg strength that he was able to build up, and then I saw him in training camp and preseason, Kindle jumps out at you. Harrison Brunick jumps out at you. There are times Brunick looks like he's floating a foot above the ice. And then I would say the next tier on that is a player who looks like they know what they're doing with the puck. They know how to receive passes cleanly. They know how to settle the puck to have it do what they want before they even make their next play. And from there comes the obvious passing and shooting. That, to me, is where Ville Koivunen, when he came up late last season, stood out immediately and was getting all these raves from his teammates and all that. McGroarty, he isn't that guy. He's not going to blow you away with his speed. He's got a lot of toughness to his game, but he's not going to blow you away with his frame or physicality either. The playmaking is good, not great. The shot is good, not great. So it sounds like I'm dumping on him. I'm actually not. I've spent a lot of time with this kid, and we have had versions of this dialogue I'm about to share with you, because I'm constantly poking at him about what kind of winger he is. There's a lot about him that doesn't make sense. He appears to be a winger who prefers to go flying down the boards, then pulling up and creating off the rush in that regard, or even going all the way around and coming out from the other side of the net, as opposed to your crash and bang winger like a Drew O'Connor. He also has this really odd tendency, and I've told him this as well, not criticizing him or whatever, just making observations, to come way up high in the attacking zone and try to make plays from up there, even if that means that defenseman who's out at that point abandons that point to go in where he was, or toward the net, or whatever. McGroarty did this in the college video that I studied at the time he was acquired from Winnipeg. And I'll say it again, I just thought it was so different. His response to that has been consistently that that's something he developed early in life, and then by the time he got to college, he just became really, really comfortable with it. So he's not going to be, Kate, some super easy read. I don't think for anybody if he sometimes has difficulty reading himself. But I do want to throw this into the mix. If you look at the, 2-3 games that he was up late last season before getting hurt, he was around the puck, and he was around plays that were getting completed, including his first goal in St. Louis, right around the net, remember? And that is actually his most dominant trait when you look at his play over multiple levels, including the very brief time in the NHL. He just happens to be in a lot of the right places and do a lot of the right things near the end of the sequence. It's not a great shift necessarily, but it's a great finish. I'm going to have a terrible time quantifying that for you. I'm going to have an even worse time finding comparables for you, but those players have existed. I'm going to throw a name at you that goes really far back into franchise history. A guy who used to drive me nuts when I watched him for about, 3/4 of the time he was on the ice. But then he'd be there for the finish. And the finish wasn't necessarily some pretty thing, but he'd get it done. And that was Kevin Stevens. Don't think of Artie as just someone who was a big body banging to the net and so forth. That's not really his game. Artie wasn't planting himself in the crease and waiting for stuff to happen. But Artie would do all his various Artie things across the attacking zone. There'd come an opportunity, and he'd finish with some kind of quality play. Better passer than he ever got credit for. Or he'd just finish it himself, but he wasn't picking corners when he was doing it. He was just finding a way to get it home. That's not comparing McGroarty to Artie in any way other than the one that I just tried to, but I hope you understand at least what I'm getting at. I appreciate the question. Really good one. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow.